A Russian armored column was rolling through open ground near Pokrovsk. 5 vehicles were moving in tight formation, relying on speed to break through Ukrainian defensive lines, when reconnaissance drones spotted the movement from above. Within seconds, a German Leopard 2 A4 tank from Ukraine's 33rd Mechanized Brigade lined up its shot from a concealed position inside a nearby village. The first round was fired, and the lead Russian tank erupted in flames. Before the column could react, the Leopard fired again and again, destroying all 5 Russian armored vehicles in under 3 minutes. The breakthrough attempt had turned into an ambush that Russian forces never saw coming. This engagement near Pokrovsk in January 2025 demonstrated how Ukrainian forces were using Western equipment combined with superior tactics to defeat numerically larger Russian formations. The 33rd Mechanized Brigade had been defending this sector for months, learning how Russian forces operated and identifying where they were most vulnerable. Every attempted Russian assault followed predictable patterns where columns moved along dirt roads because the surrounding terrain was too soft or heavily mined for armored vehicles. These roads channeled Russian forces into kill zones where Ukrainian tanks waited with clear fields of fire. The Russian column consisted of 2 main battle tanks, 2 infantry fighting vehicles, and 1 armored personnel carrier. Intelligence analysts estimated this represented a reinforced company attempting to push through Ukrainian lines to reach positions south of Pokrovsk. If successful, this assault could have threatened Ukrainian supply routes and forced defenders to withdraw from forward positions, which was why Russian commanders committed their best available armor to the operation. Ukrainian drone operators from the 33rd Brigade detected the Russian formation at approximately 14:20 local time. The drones were already airborne, conducting routine surveillance sweeps across sectors where Russian activity had been increasing. When thermal cameras picked up heat signatures from multiple armored vehicles moving through forested areas, operators transmitted coordinates immediately to Leopard tank crews positioned 3 kilometers away. The Leopard 2 A4 that engaged the column was operating from a defensive position carefully prepared over several days. Crew members had identified multiple firing positions inside the village that offered cover from buildings while maintaining clear sightlines toward likely Russian approach routes. When the call came that a column was advancing, the Leopard moved to the optimal position and waited. The crew consisted of a commander, gunner, loader, and driver, all veterans who had been operating this specific tank for months and knew exactly how to exploit its capabilities. At 14:28, the lead Russian tank emerged from the tree line onto open ground. It was a T-72B3, a modernized Soviet-era tank featuring reactive armor designed to defeat shaped charge warheads, a 125mm main gun, and relatively modern fire control systems. On paper, it was formidable. But the Leopard's 120mm smoothbore gun had superior range and accuracy, and more importantly, the Ukrainian crew saw the Russian tank before it saw them. The Leopard fired at 14:29, 29 and 12 seconds. The armor-piercing round traveled at over 1,600 meters per second, crossing the 1,800-meter distance in just over 1 second and striking the T-72B3's turret at an angle that defeated the reactive armor. Secondary explosions followed as stored ammunition ignited. The Russian tank stopped moving immediately, with smoke pouring from hatches as surviving crew members bailed out. The second Russian tank behind the leader attempted to reverse when it saw the explosion ahead, but the Leopard crew was already loading another round. 8 seconds after the first shot, they fired again, and this round struck the reversing T-72 in its side armor, the weakest point on Soviet-designed tanks. The penetration caused catastrophic damage, disabling the vehicle and forcing its crew to abandon it within seconds. Behind the 2 destroyed tanks, Russian infantry fighting vehicles and the armored personnel carrier were now trapped on the narrow dirt road with no room to maneuver around burning wrecks. Drivers attempted to reverse, but Ukrainian FPV drones were already diving toward the stalled column. One drone struck an infantry fighting vehicle through its open rear hatch, where troops had been preparing to dismount, and the shaped charge detonated inside, killing soldiers and destroying the vehicle's engine. A second FPV drone targeted the armored personnel carrier that was attempting to turn around in the confined space. The drone operator guided the quadcopter directly into the vehicle's side armor, penetrating and detonating the fuel tank. Burning diesel spread across the road, creating a wall of fire that blocked any escape route for surviving vehicles. The final Russian infantry fighting vehicle was immobilized when its driver panicked and drove into soft ground while trying to avoid the burning wrecks. Tracks sank into mud, leaving the vehicle stuck and vulnerable. Ukrainian artillery observers called in a fire mission, and within 2 minutes, 152mm shells were impacting the area around the disabled vehicle. Shrapnel shredded external equipment and forced the crew to abandon their vehicle and flee into nearby woods on foot. The entire engagement lasted less than 5 minutes from first shot to last. Ukrainian drones captured footage showing 5 destroyed or abandoned Russian armored vehicles spread along 300 meters of road. Not a single Ukrainian vehicle was damaged during the ambush. This pattern repeated across multiple sectors near Pokrovsk throughout late 2024 and early 2025, with the 33rd Mechanized Brigade releasing videos showing their Leopard tanks destroying Russian columns in similar engagements. The tactical success of these ambushes relied on several factors that Ukrainian forces had refined through experience, including the integration of drone surveillance with tank operations that provided early warning and continuous tracking of Russian movements. The superior range and accuracy of Western tank guns compared to Soviet-era systems gave Leopard 2 A4 tanks the ability to engage targets effectively at ranges exceeding 2,000 meters, often destroying Russian vehicles before they could return fire. Ukrainian tank crews also received extensive training on Western systems from Germany and other NATO countries, allowing them to develop tactics that leveraged the Leopard's strengths while compensating for its limitations. American Bradley infantry fighting vehicles, operated by Ukraine's 47th Mechanized Brigade, demonstrated similar effectiveness in separate engagements. In one battle near Avdiivka in early 2024, a single Bradley destroyed a Russian T-90M tank, Russia's most advanced operational tank, using its 25mm chain gun to systematically destroy the T-90M's optical systems and external equipment until the Russian crew was forced to abandon what was supposed to be an invincible platform. A commander with the 47th Brigade told reporters that Russian forces had become afraid to launch operations when they knew Bradleys would be opposing them. This psychological impact was as important as the physical destruction because Russian assault formations that once advanced with confidence now hesitated when Ukrainian drones appeared overhead, knowing that Western armored vehicles were likely positioned to ambush them. The cost analysis favored Ukraine dramatically, with a Leopard 2A4 tank costing approximately $5 million, while the Russian tanks and armored vehicles it destroyed in a single engagement represented at least $15 million in equipment losses for Russia. More importantly, trained Russian tank crews that were killed or wounded could not be easily replaced, which meant each successful Ukrainian ambush degraded not just Russian equipment stocks, but also the experienced personnel needed to operate that equipment effectively.